Good evening, friends. You are most welcome to Think Eyes channel. Today we are going to discuss comparative ethnography, Mani 003, in which we are going to discuss symbolist and culturist approach. First, introduction. Second, symbolist perspective, in which Claude Lévi-Strauss, Clifford Geertz, Victor Turner, critical phase 1970 onwards, experimental phase into the 21st century. Next is culturist perspective, in which backdrop 19th century development, 20th century development, cultural anthropology and its concerns, culture personality school, materialistic school, social anthropology, Bronislaw Malinowski, A.R. Radcliffe Brown, Edward E. Ivan Pritchard, Edmund R. Leach, and at the last summary. Learning objectives are: this unit will help you in learning the perspective of the symbolist or symbolic anthropologist, the perspective of culturist, and a comparison of both these perspectives. Introduction. This unit introduces the learners to the perspective of the symbolist and culturist. The entire discussion of these approaches is author-wise. By symbol is meant an entity that represents, stands for something else. The culturists believe that culture is uniquely human, to borrow the words from Malinowski. Symbolist perspective, Claude Lévi-Strauss, 1908 to 2009. What Ruth Benedict implied by culture was furthered in one sense by the theory of structuralism forwarded by Claude Lévi-Strauss. He too emphasized upon the psychological dimensions of culture in his The Savage Mind 1962 and Methodologicus 1964. However, his focus was on science. According to him, the atomic element of culture are science, words, but also whatever else that, upon being heard or seen or touched or tasted, makes sense. A minimal analytical unit analogous to culture would comprise of a group of people sharing and mutually understanding the same system of science. Hence, Lévi-Strauss occupied himself with the analytical assembly and reconstruction of proper science system out of the bits and pieces which the fieldworker collected. His attempt also involved an establishment of the universal grammar of culture. Marriage rules, etc., were treated as science. The role of an ethnographer is to decode these signs and unravel the rules by which these are arranged. Binary oppositions are the fundamental properties of myth culture. They endorse these with deeper structural meaning. They reflect dilemmas posed by social and cultural life in the sphere of kinship, myth, and reproduction. Clifford Geertz, 1926 to 2006, a cultural anthropologist of USA, he held that culture is a product of acting social beings trying to make sense of the world in which they find themselves. It is through symbols that people communicate. Symbols operate as vehicles of culture. They are context specific, that is, they derive their meaning in the specific context in which they occur. Culture is embodied in public symbols, symbols through which the members of a society communicate their worldview, value orientation, ethos, and all the rest to one another, to future generations, and of course to anthropologists. Hence, in order to study culture, the ethnographer should be able to situate him or herself in the position from which it was constructed. Thus, while Geertz provides an objective view of culture, at the same time he also provides a hermeneutical orientation. Culture is thus like a text, the meaning of which can be interpreted The text involves the symbolic actions. The cultural texts are not free floating with inexhaustibly reinterpretable meanings but have a convention laden from more or less tidily self enclosed, susceptible to plural but not infinite number of plausible interpretations. An ethnographer trying to interpret the text will find the logic of the action context seemingly meshy. In this endeavor to unravel the meaning, the language of the native interlocutors become insightful. This hints at the repository of orientations which are not fixed but flexible. It has been argued by anthropologists that there is hardly any proof of knowing whether the determination of the context and meanings are correct. The resources of the ethnographer lies in his or her ability to interact and talk with the people. Victor Turner 1920 to 1983. Turner differed from Greed's symbolic anthropology, providing a different approach to studying culture symbols. He stated that symbols are of interest not as vehicles of and analytic windows onto culture, the integrated ethos and worldwide view of society, but they are significant as being operators in the social process. This implies that symbols, when put together in certain arrangements in certain contexts, especially rituals, produce essentially social transformations. The symbols in the curing or initiations or hunting rituals of the people are to be explored for the ways in which they move actors from one status to another, resolve social contradictions, and wed actors to the categories and norms of their society. Herein we find the prominence of the traditional structural functional perspective. Turner also identified or elaborated upon certain ritual mechanisms, and some of the concepts he developed have become a part of the vocabulary of ritual analysis, liminality, marginality, arty structure, and so forth. Critical phase 1970 onwards. With the 1970s comes the critical phase of the development of ethnography. It has been a period of expansion, diversification, and considerable self critique. It was beset with criticism that anthropology had been a child of imperialism. The intellectual movement in this phase was to question the role of anthropology and ethnography and to make it relevant in a changing world. Three lines of inquiry prevailed. First, political, to inquire into the role which anthropology played and has been playing in sustaining the domination. B. Moral, to interrogate anthropology's professional values, that the emphasis on cultural relativism had been used to be intolerant towards the growth of cosmopolitan and pluralistic environment, and on the rebound been passive to violence and injustice. C. Ethical, to inquire into the effect of their inquisitiveness and their role on the people being studied. D. Epistemological, to re-examine the entire edifice of anthropological concern, empirical basis, the impartiality of its claims. Experimental phase into the 21st century. The next significant phase, that is the experimental, connotes the reflexive turn of inquiry. The previous phase of critical inquiry immediately paves the way for re-examining and experimenting in the direction of methodological pluralism and the recognition of the need for various ways and means of cultural analysis instead of a dominant voice. The crucial issue brought to light was the preassumed authoritative role of the objective ethnographer and his or her interpretation of the culture. The ethnographer now comes to be viewed as an inculturated being who also becomes a part of culture site being interpreted rather than a passive and aloof observer. Both the subjects of anthropological research and the anthropologists themselves are considered as meaning makers interacting in an intersubjective site. Such a position has its ramification in the interpretation of culture, which hence cannot be monolithic or determinate, but rather contextual, reciprocal, and open to interpretation and reinterpretations. In this context, mention need to be made of Paul Rabinow's reflections on fieldwork on Morocco 1971. Thus, the entire development of the perspective in anthropological ethnography has been summed by David Pocock as a shift from function to meaning. The need for the voices and expressions of the muted group of people, of women, of the marginalized, a term popularized by Adash Adener, to be brought out to the fore are being rigorously articulated. Ethnography now entails a detailed attention to meaning, thereby to explore the multidimensional, multi-layered culture, society. Clifford and Marcus writing culture has brought ethnography and anthropology face to face with the perils and prospects of its practices. Culturist perspective. Ethnographies, according to Sharon MacDonald, tend to be the vehicle through which major theoretical contributions are made, or perhaps more accurately retrospective attributed, and this is itself an indication of the centrality of the ethnographic monograph to the discipline. In an appreciation of the culturist perspective of ethnography, we shall begin by recapitulating briefly the concept of culture and then move on to the application of this perspective in ethnography. The concept of culture has been used and interpreted in myriad ways over the years. Each of the interpretations, however, bear relationships with the others. According to Raymond Williams, noted for his contributions to the approach named cultural materialism, culture is one of the two or three most complicated words in the English language because it has come to be used for important concepts in several distinct intellectual disciplines and in several distinct systems of thought. The apparently wide range of the definition of culture, laden with different ideas, polysemy within the discipline of anthropology and outside, has necessitated an understanding of the concept within anthropology. The centrality of the concept within the discipline and the relation of the uses of the concept by that of the other disciplines and their work on culture makes it imperative for the students of anthropology to be aware of the concept of culture and how anthropologists have used it to understand society through their ethnographic works. Reflection. Kroeber and Cluckhorn, 1952, compiled the vast array of definitions by anthropologists on culture and identified 6 main categories. These are as follows. First, descriptive definition. Following the famous definition by E.B. Tylor, it perceives culture as a comprehensive totality making up the sum total of social life. Second, historical definition. It tends to view culture as a heritage passed over time through generations. Third, normative definition. On the one hand, it may refer to standardized beliefs and procedures including mode of life, and on the other, it may refer only to the values of a society. Fourth, psychological definition. It draws upon the creative role of human actors and the ways people communicate and construct meanings and fulfill material and emotional needs. Fifth, structural definition. It looked into the stable and enduring elements of culture society, notably the enduring organized interrelationship between these elements which remain convert underneath the manifest behavior of people. 6. Genetic definitions. Here the emphasis is upon human interactions which generate culture, and here culture is viewed as a cumulative product of intergenerational transmission. Now we are going to continue. Thus, we have seen that in anthropology the concept of culture has been used broadly, which includes the lived experiences and all the multifarious dimensions of social life. Different anthropologists have dealt specifically on some particular dimensions of culture in their ethnographic studies. Clifford and Marcus, in writing Culture State, Ethnography Decodes and Recodes, telling the grounds of collective order and diversity, inclusion and exclusion. It describes the processes of innovation and structuration and is itself part of these processes. The varied ethnographic engagements have played a prominent role in the defining and redefining the conceptual tool of culture, cultural theory and methodology. James D. Fabian, a noted American cultural theorist, identifies three distinct methodological phases in cultural anthropology and ethnography. Three, three currents of methodological formation and reformation. These are: first, constitutive current. It commenced with the work of French Boyce and his students, namely Edward Sapir, Ruth Benedict, and Robert Lowy, Alfred Kroeber, among others. It culminates with Levi Strauss and thereon goes on to persist as only one of the many other disciplinary alternatives. B. Critical current. It commences roughly with the publication of the Rethinking Anthropology, Heems, 1972, and gains momentum with the publication of Anthropology and the Colonial Encounter, Assad, 1973, towards An Anthropology of Women, Reiter, 1975, Orientalism, Edward Said, 1978, Writing Culture, Clifford and Marcus, 1986, and Women Writing Culture, Behar and Gordon, 1995. C is experimental moment. It commences with the reflexive turn in the later 1970s and includes much of the most controversial researches of the past 2 decades. Next heading is backdrop. The seeds of the development of anthropology were laid at a time when the interest in the study of the other cultures emerged. However, the age of enlightenment associated with political upheavals, and scientific inquiries contributed tremendously to the emergence of the basic approaches that underlie the subsequent development of anthropology as a science. For example, an important work of Guillaume Battista Vico, 1668 to 1744, an Italian, was a grand synthesis of ethnography, history of religion, philosophy, and natural science. He proposed a universal scheme of social development with 4 well-defined stages, which influenced the later evolutionists. In France, the work of Montesquieu, 1689 to 1755, led many others to describe him as a proto-functionalist. He also articulated the techniques of viewing one's own culture from the perspective of an outsider uh, to offset the problem of home blindedness, a technique that critical anthropologists apply today. Johann Gottfried von Herder. Johann Gottfried von Herder, 1744 to 1803, defined society as a deep-seated mythical community, and that each group of people has its own values, customs, language, and spirit. These set the tone for the development in the 20th century of the doctrine of cultural relativism through the works of French Boas and his predecessor Adolphe Bastien. Immanuel Kant, 1724 to 1804, advocated that knowledge was sensual and mathematical, positive and speculative, objective and subjective, and that both thought and experience were dynamically related. The acquisition of knowledge is a creative process. He impressed on methodological individualism, which emphasized on individual as the starting point of knowledge. G.W.F. Hazel, 1770 to 1831, held that the individual is also a part and the result of the process of knowing, and the world created through knowing is therefore fundamentally collective. With the emergence of this principle of methodological collectivism by Hegel, and on the other hand the contribution of Kant, the stage was set for the various approaches to social and cultural anthropology as well as the other social sciences. Both offered to social sciences the notion of the social construction of reality, which thereupon became the bedrock of ethnography and the various principles of studying society and the debates generated thereof. Hegel's work also led to the growth of concepts such as structure, function, solidarity, aggregate, power, and system. These epistemological and methodological developments, together with the ethnographic museums established in the 18th century in Europe, provide the backdrop to the emergence of anthropology as an academic discipline. These occurred amidst the transition and upheaval in Europe. 19th century development. In the subsequent period of growth, industrialization, and colonialism, in the 19th century, empirical studies of remote cultures, other cultures nearby, interpreting of travel logs on distant cultures both in Europe, notably Britain, Germany, and France and USA. On the other hand, saw the emergence of ethnography and field and an urgent academic necessity to systematically define the concept of culture on continents, both the continents. For E.B. Tylor of Britain, Alice Morgan of the USA, and Bronislaw Malinowski, who worked both in USA and the Britain, but identified with the British tradition, culture was understood as a comprehensive concept and indistinguishable from that of society. The 19th century evolutionists were armchair anthropologists. However, among them, Alice Morgan had conducted fieldwork among the Iroquois. His book League of the Haudenosaunee or Iroquois, 1851, is considered one of the earliest ethnographic work of native people. In Germany, Adolf Bastian, 1826 to 1905, a trained ethnographer, argued that all humans share certain elementary patterns of thought which can be unraveled through the myths and ceremonial customs. He thus had anticipated structuralism that was yet to emerge. Like the latter German diffusionist, he also emphasized historical development of cultures. The Russian ethnographer Nikolai and Miklukoho Makalai 1846 to 1888 conducted a long and intensive study in New Guinea, laying the foundation of ethnographic tradition in Russia. Apart from devising grand theories of evolution, the contribution of the anthropologists between 1840 to 1880 towards ethnographic development had been in terms of documenting the enormous range of social and cultural variations and devising theories on a specific domain as kinship, religion, law, etc. Emergence of national tradition. The development of individual national traditions took shape. Germany was moving towards diffusionism. USA and Britain continued to focus on evolutionism with specialized domains of research. Turn of the century development. This phase was marked by the Torres Strait Expedition 1898 organized by Cambridge University, which had far-reaching consequences in the development of ethnography. It marked the transition from armchair anthropology to that of the collection of primary empirical data. This expedition under the stewardship of A.C. Haddon was to cover almost all aspects of native life, ranging from ethnography, psychology, linguistics, physical anthropology, and musicology. W.H.R. Rivers and C.G. Seligman, two of the members of the team, moved on to development different areas or arenas of studies and perspective on culture and society. Rivers' genealogical method attained renown for collecting data on kinship organization. His later work on the Todas of India 1906 highlighted the different institutions of Toda in the Nilgiri Hills. 20th century development, diffusionism. This paradigm continued its way in Germany, and with French boys moving over to USA, it also moved with him. The significant contribution of the diffusionist school, especially the German school, lies in drawing attention to the possibilities of cultural contact and migration and their role as vehicle of transmission not only of culture traits but also of culture complexes across regions. Based on comparative ethnographic data, the diffusionists also explicated the role of environment in shaping cultures. Environment comprises local conditions including local technological development, cultural context, and the geographical environment. W.H.R. Rivers conducted a series of empirical studies of the Melanesians and sought to explain the prevalence of different burial rites by way of migration. The focus of study of culture had been more on temporal concerns than on spatial. Cultural anthropology and its concerns. Culture, in its holistic sense, became the focal concern of American anthropologists, while the earlier scholars considered it in all the dimensions with focus on certain aspects. The latter focused on a specific aspect of culture against the backdrop of its other dimensions. The American School of Diffusion had placed cultural anthropology on firm footing under the patronage of French Bois and his students as R.H. Lowy, Alfred L. Kroeber, Clark Wieseler, etc. The major contribution of this school are the following: understanding of cultural holism as the coherence of cultures subsisting in an effectively timeless ethnographic present. It includes the study of the role of physical and sociological phenomena in shaping particular cultures, that is, the local context and the meaning therein. Forwarding the notion of historical particularism, the Boasians held the cultures were especially distinct, more importantly plural, and the need to be explained in its particular historical context, the history of people, the influence of the regions they have passed in its process of migration, and the culture contact requires to be considered in the analysis of the present cultures. The methodological kit includes the following: empiricism, and to understand each culture as it is, emphasis is on understanding what it is here and now. In the words of Radcliffe Brown, adopt an amic approach of culture, and for which collaboration with local participants of culture, known as native ethnographer, may be resorted to. Treat culture as fluid and dynamic. Boyce argued that the dialectics of individual and the social environment, each influencing the other, tend to lead to modification. The difference of opinion and of mode of action in societies can cause far-reaching changes. Thus, all cultures forms appear in a constant state of flux. Cultural boundaries are highly permeable and hence overlapping and multiple. Robert Lowe's statement that culture is a thing of shred and patches points to culture as the cumulative product of history and adaptation, with people trying to make sense of the disparate elements of culture. Different kinds of configuration come into being. Interestingly, this idea finds expression in the notion of social construction of reality. Thus, they sought to explain particular culture holism through adaptation and historical processes. Culture Personality School. Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead were the two stalwarts of this school in American anthropology. Ruth Benedict (1887 to 1948) conducted her ethnographic field studies among some of the American Indian tribes, namely Zuni, 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 and used the field studies of other schools to forward her idea of culture and the relationship between personality and culture. Her Patterns of Cultures 1934 is based on large-scale comparisons where she articulates culture as both logically and causally prior to individual personalities, with the latter largely being in conformance to the given culture imperatives. Benedict argued Benedict urges that there are schemas or patterns which reside in the psychic processes and structures and which would organize human perceptions. It is in the collective or intersubjective level that patterns of culture gets organized and recognized. There is selectivity in these, in that a culture could not accommodate every perception, every feeling, and that every culture had its experimental canon. These selectively organized patterns or schemas enable people to perceive, feel, and organize their experience of the world around them. Accordingly, a culture comes to develop its patterns or configurations, and culture thus becomes an organized functional whole. In her work, she forwarded the theory that links individuals to the general cultural frame in which they participate. A culture can be understood as an individual personality, and each person within a culture can be understood in relation to the pattern, traits, or types which characterize their particular culture. Materialistic School. Its theoretical tone was set by the linking of natural environment with culture and placing this relationship on a scale of evolution. Leslie White and Julian Stewart became the doyens of New Evolutionism in the 1950s, Stewart's School of Cultural Ecology promoted the idea of multilinear evolution. He took this model to explain the peasant societies. Roy Rappaport picks for the ancestors based on his ethnographic work among the Sembaga Maring of the New Guinean Highlands was an attempt to explain a complex ritual involving warfare and mass slaughter of domestic pigs in terms of their worldview and surroundings, and how this ritual is an adaptation of their view of their surroundings. Other variation of this perspective has been Marvin Harris culture materialism. The debate over the applicability of the substantive and formalist understanding of pre-capitalist societies finds exposition in Raymond Field's formalist study of the economy of the Maori and Tekopia 1929-1939, where the applicability of classical economic theory cross-culturally was expounded, while the Karl Polanyi The Great Transformation 1957, that view was denounced and formalist theory was stated to have applicability on applicability only in capitalist society. By the 1970s, one view held both the perspective to be complementary. Other concerns and area studied came to be defined and studied by the American anthropologists such as Peasants Studies, notably by Robert Redfield. His concept of great tradition and little tradition along with that of peasants added a new dimensions, leading to the opening up of the study of vast areas of cultures across the world. However, anthropological research was not yet prepared to move other areas of study such as migration, ethnicity, urbanization, etc., that were being rigorously pursued by the Chicago School. James Fabian, James Fabian, an American cultural anthropologist, sums up the contributions of the American anthropologists of the constitutive period, including Levi Strauss and Clifford Geertz, into three broad hallmarks of properties. First, a shift from a talk of culture to culture. This involves the consideration of the preassumptions of the property of boundedness as a tool of methodological convenience to enable ethnographic study and writing. At the same time, it is accepted that the boundaries of culture are permeable and fuzzy. First is a shift from a talk of culture to culture. This involves the consideration of the presumption of the property of boundedness as a tool of methodological convenience to enable ethnographic study and writing. At the same time, it is accepted that the boundaries of culture are permeable and fuzzy. Second, the presumption of the property of integration of culture. Third, the presumption of systematicity. Where cultures are studied as a totality, the emphasis has been on the interpretive context served by each part for the every other and the totality that comprises them, where instead of the whole cultures only parts of it are studied. It is done so with the confidence that each cultural part would provide insights to the whole. The quest has been thus for the representative analytical foci of culture. The confidence of ascertaining the representativeness of the culture parts lies in the participant observation. Next heading is social anthropology. While the American anthropologists under the scholarship of French Bois focused on the culture as a synergistic totality that comprised material, behavioral, and symbolic dimensions, A.R. Radcliffe Brown emphasized society as a focus of study comprising structures, institutions, and social aggregates. This witnessed the growth of a reason based subdisciplinary divide, social anthropology in Britain and cultural anthropology as one of the four branches of anthropology in USA. The institutionalization of this specialization became complete and crystallized in the first two decades of the 20th century. Radcliffe Brown contributed to the structural functional approach geared at explaining the integrative dimension of society with every part contributing to sustain the whole. Cultural anthropologists at that time, on the other hand, mostly dealt with adaptation, with the environment as the central methodological tool of explanation. Bronislaw Malinowski 1884 to 1942. Bronislaw Malinowski is generally said to be the pioneer of social anthropology in Britain. According to him, the core of anthropology was ethnography. His work on the Trobriand Islands is considered to mark the beginning of British social anthropology. Herein, he lays down the concept of culture, the functionalist perspective, and the methodological rigor of ethnography, particularly of participant observation. His approach is culture are to be studied in their ethnographic present. The social practice have significance in the present. It is the role of the ethnographer to explain the significance through direct observation instead of engaging in historical explanation. Each cultural component performs functions which are reflections of the basic biological and psychological needs. Social practices are to be analyzed in their social context as wholes. Central to ethnography is the grasping of the natives' point of view, that is, to see the society as the natives see them. It is important to gather concrete statistical documentation of the field, followed by an insightful understanding of the imponderabilia of actual life, emotional responses, and sub subtleties of daily life. It is only through participant and intensive observation over a long period of time that the insider's view could be grappled and the holistic quality of culture can be explored. In his famous ethnographic work on the Trobriand Islanders, Malinowski analyzed various aspects of their economy, social control, family, kinship, ritual, methodology, etc., and went on to develop his theory on functionalism and theories on the fields of the aspect studies. A.R. Radcliffe Brown 1881 to 1955. A.R. Radcliffe Brown put forth the concept of social structure and argued the ethnographer to explore and analyze the enduring elements of society from concrete manifestations and the relationship between these parts. Radcliffe Brown differentiated social structure from the adaptational and the cultural, laying priority of analysis on social structure. He advocated intensive field studies to be conducted by trained anthropologists on single culture in a scientific manner. He hoped that once this exercise is accomplished, comparative analysis would generate laws. He conducted ethnographic studies on the Islanders, Australian tribes, and African tribes. Edward E. Evan Pritchard. Evan Pritchard's The Newer 1940 was based on the structural functionalist model, but it also furthered the structuralist agenda. Evans Pritchard elucidates another dimension to the study of structure, the relation between enduring elements in their specific context. Here we find Evans Pritchard trying to interpret relation against the backdrop of the changing context and thus hinting upon changing interpretation of apparently similar relations. The intersubjectivity and contextuality of meaning construction comes to the fore. At the same time, something as dynamic as meaning construction in relation to the different context is given a structural objectivity by Evans Pritchard. With this, language once again consolidates its position of methodological prominence in ethnography. This contribution finds its imprints in the later phases of development of the discipline. The period from 1940 to 1960 is regarded as the period of consensus or routine. Howsoever, expansion was witnessed in field conducted in newer areas of Africa, particularly South Africa, Indian subcontinent, and continuity with the Pacific interest. This led to the widening of the scope of theoretical frameworks. Structural functionalism continued to dominate the scene in British anthropology. Edmund Leach's political system of Highland Burma 1954, that is Myanmar now, goes on the deconstruct the static element so long presumed to be an empirical reality of social structure. Leach shows that within a broad structural framework there might be shifts from one pattern to another and again back. Another notable contribution was the concept of social organization given by Redmond Fifth 1954, which not only seeks to differentiate between structural and organizational change but also the relationship between the two levels, with organizational change leading to structural change. Other contributors Other contributions towards the broadening of perspective can be found in the works of Max Gluckman and Victor Turner. While Gluckman brings in individual presence through detailing, rich detailing, Turner in his schism and continuity in the African Society 1957 went on to show how solidarity is constructed and maintained in the first place over and above the conflicts and contradictions that constitute the normal state of affairs. At one level of critical evaluation, it once again appear to hinge on the notion of traditional stability of the pre-literate societies or cultures. The contribution of these perspectives have given a solid footing to the discipline. Yet it cannot be denied that the ramifications of this perspective will not be subjected to criticisms in the changing future. In fact, these were thoroughly questioned in the later phase along with the role of anthropology and ethnography of this period. The crucial attack was on the assumption of the ethnographer being at a vantage point to perceive reality as it occurs. At the last, we will discuss the summary. One of the major distinctions in social anthropology is between society and culture, and it has also led to the emergence of two distinct as well as interrelated specialization in anthropology, namely social anthropology and cultural anthropology. Although today these two are not distinguished the way they were done in the past, the approaches which emerged in each one of them have had an important implication for the later growth of the discipline. Functionalism or structural functionalism or structural functional approach, as this perspective was called by different scholars, was a product of the British social anthropological approach, which owed its indebtedness to Emile Durkheim. The symbolic approach emerged in the context of the American cultural anthropology, from where it moved onto the British tradition. This lesson has given a succinct view of the symbolic approach as well as approach which is called culturist. Both these perspectives are closely interlinked, and at certain level it becomes difficult to separate one from the other. For the cultural point is that culture is a symbolic system. Human beings are the only ones in the animal kingdom of which they are a part that create, transmit, and cognize symbols and communicate through them. Although the symbolic approach was predominantly used in the study of religious system, Its application for understanding other dimensions of human life was not left behind, since human beings are symbolic beings. Every sphere of their life is rooted in symbols and their meanings. References: Erikson, Th. and F.S. Nielsen, 2008, A History of Anthropology, Delhi, Rawat Publication. Atkinson, 2001, Handbook of Ethnography, London, Sage Publications Limited. Ortner, S. 1984, Theory in Anthropology since the 60s in Comparative Studies in Society and History. January 1984, Cambridge University Press. Sample questions: discuss the symbolist perspective of Levi-Strauss, Victor Turner and Greeds. Discuss the culturist perspective of Bronislaw Malinowski and Edward E. Ivan Pritchard. Discuss cultural anthropology and its concerns. Thank you very much.